Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's all about TJ again today. We're excited to have him here talking about his home staging business. And we've had some great conversations in the past about the work that he's doing, the family business that he started, and at Affordable Home Staging in Spokane. Again, I'll have him first say hello and welcome to the show today. Tell us a little bit about the company and all the staging work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. Hello to you. So I'm one of the co-owners of Affordable Home Staging. We specialize in vacant home staging in the Spokane and surrounding area. That's in Washington State.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what home staging is, essentially we bring in like furniture, decor, accessories. We make the home look nice for photos and for showings, ultimately to help you sell your home for more money and faster.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And for today, we're going to go over a little bit of the staging checklist. And first, tell us how we can reach you.
Yeah, so you can always reach me directly on my cell phone, 509-944-1174, or you can message us on Instagram at Affordable Home Staging Spokane.
Perfect. And I know we're also going to take a look at your Instagram and website and stuff too. So whenever you want to share that at whatever time, we can. And did you want to share the staging recommendations so we can see them visually as well as we go through them?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So and this is actually like something we provided for a client. So this is more of maybe a
beautiful. There it is.
Example. But yeah, I don't know if you see all the extra stuff in there too. But
anyway. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I see it. So let's get started. So tell us about some of the recommendations here, starting in the dining room area.
Yeah. So again, this is more of like something we actually sent to a client, and what it looks like when we do maybe more of an occupied stage or a consult where we'll actually walk through the house first, kind of see what's in their home. Sometimes we take actual photos and add them of their home in here. These are photos of like previous stages we've done, kind of give them an idea of like what we're recommending. But I know over the last couple of weeks we've kind of talked about in occupied stages or homes that people are living in, like what they can do. A lot of it is like boxing up some things, putting it away, editing their home, making it more like minimal. And so a lot of this is like just a good visual and like what somebody would actually receive of like what to do, like step by step of, hey, we noticed something. So clear cabinet surface behind the dining table, something, we noticed in their house that was like, remove this, and then we talked about like maybe the lighting was pretty poor, like it was a dark room. So it's like, you can lighten up a room by adding more whites and creams and those kind of elements in the home.
Well, the funny thing is when I moved into my house 7 years ago or so, right? This is so funny. I didn't know what home staging was, right? It was an empty house because there was a flood. So the builder redid everything inside, decently. And so when I came in, I just wanted to see this kitchen. I love the cabinets, even though they were basic cabinets, but cream. So anyway, and then as I'm closing on the house and stuff, because above the cabinets, there's space. There was all these beautiful plants. And I thought they were included in the house. Those are my favorite part of the house. I said, so I love how, this is here. She's like, oh, I have to take those with me. I'm like, what? I didn't even understand the concept that's when I first, I think, really understood. I'm like, oh, you brought that stuff in because there wasn't any furniture in the house, so it wasn't fully staged at all. But that little decor on top, I was like, I love those plants, and I thought I was keeping them. She's like, no, but which is fine. I didn't even offer to buy them, but I'm sure I could have. But so speaking of that, it just reminds me of how it made the kitchen look so much prettier than just the plain cabinets with a big space.
Absolutely. I mean, greenery is huge. I think anything like that can bring life into a room. So that was kind of one of the original like staging tips. It's like, unfortunately, I can't use necessarily real plants as much anymore just because usually staging can be in homes for like up to a month or sometimes longer, usually like 30 days. So it's unfortunate we have to use a lot of fake plants, but the idea of like bringing life into the home is super important. Like you were saying, it's like just by having plants in there, it brought the kitchen to life. It like gave you a feeling, a connection to the home. And that's exactly what staging is supposed to create. And so I love that, you have a firsthand example, but and it's true. It definitely can work like that, but it is unfortunate you didn't get to keep them.
I know, it's
never
all right. But you know what I have up there now? I
What?
have empty wine bottles and I love
Okay,
it because I love
nice.
wine and corks. I
Yeah,
have big things of corks. So I staged it myself. Now it's staged with
perfect.
what I really like better. I like the
I
wine
like that.
bottles better than that. And like the
Yeah,
little lights I put up there. So I
I
did my
love
own
that.
staging job. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
always have to change mine out. Like when my daughter has a birthday party, we have like balloons up
Yeah.
there or something.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes those balloons lasted way too long up there, I will say, until we switch it out with something else. But yes, I understand what you're saying there. So,
All right.
um,
Continue. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
oh no, you're good. I love it. And I think so. We also with occupied, like we don't add a ton of pricing. We're really pricing
Hmm.
things out based on like what we're bringing in. So it can be really cost, like it could be a big cost saving by
Yeah.
using some of your own stuff. But then you just have to know like it might not look like a completely new stage, like staged home as if it were like a vacant staging. And so you have to be kind of okay with like the back and forth that, but it can save a lot of money just by, we're
Yeah.
if we're only bringing in a table runner and some place settings and napkin rings and things like that and the centerpiece, it's a lot cheaper than maybe bringing in like a whole dining room table and chairs and all that stuff. So but yeah, and then going into the living room, you can kind of see another thing. It's like, again, a lot of the houses we come into, they already have their couch, they have a coffee table, they might have just oriented all in not the best way for a potential buyer to come in and see it. And so like if you look at our examples, a lot of time, this might not be exactly how you live in a home, especially that right
Yeah.
photo.
Hmm.
Because the fireplace, I mean, a lot of people just, they slap up a TV up there. It might be a little bit difficult on that rock wall, but they might slap up a TV in there. So you would think, oh, couch would just face the TV. But then when you're walking in, you'd be walking into the back of a sofa. And that's not necessarily like appealing, and it closes off the room. And so just by opening up the shades, orienting the couch along that window, it's one of the first things you see. It now becomes like a statement, and it actually directs your attention to the fireplace by having it in that position. And so a lot of the orientation layout is very intentional, so that we're having you look at features of the home that are really staples that you'll remember, because we want people to go, oh, remember that house with that, the nice like rock fireplace, like that's something there. In the photo on the left hand side, it's a more updated home, has a gorgeous view, and so like having a low level sectional was great, so that we didn't obstruct any of the view, but you could still really feel like, oh, this is a spacious, like there's a bunch of seating in here, it's spacious, we could actually live in this space. And so and again, for like occupied stages, we have those very specifics. It's like remove personal items, I always say remove anything on the walkways. You should have 3 to 4 feet of walkways, like throughout the whole home. And so usually I'm like, if you can put your arms out and touch anything, it's like all of that stuff needs to go, whether that's like baskets, benches, at least for staging purposes, just because there's going to be multiple people walking through your house. Ideally you don't want them tripping on anything. You also want them to see the floors and things like that. So so a lot of that is the advice. And again, we have gone over this before, like these types of things before, but it's nice to see a visual, I think, with it. So a lot of there's a common theme in a lot of these like this checklist is usually like clear off everything, add something decorative in there to maybe brighten up the room, or highlight a space, and neutralize the space as well. So
I just
kitchen,
noticed, hold on, that just a
yeah.
little thing in the background. There's not like a subway tile that's like coming back as a backsplash.
Yeah, I mean, subway tile is also one of the cheapest backsplashes, so I
Is
mean
it?
that's another reason.
I love
I
it. That
think.
looks more expensive to me, but okay, great.
Well, I just mean when you go to the store, I mean, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of options out there. They have all kinds of
Yeah.
shapes. I think Subway is like a little bit more affordable just because it is cut in like rectangles. And so,
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, and there's more expensive Subway tiles for sure. But yeah, a lot of flips you'll see, or people we work with will maybe be flipping homes. Like they'll just pick something
Mm-hmm.
simple. Subway tile is also very easy to like actually lay out, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to if you get the ones with like the triangle
True.
long
True.
shaped out, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
how do we actually do this across the wall and make it
Yeah.
look good? So yeah, Subway is an easy way to go if you're remodeling a kitchen. So but yeah, again, like I don't think anything out here is like crazy. Like again, our trays are simple. We kind of try to use maybe rule of three and put three things together on like a tray. We try to separate hard surfaces using like softer elements. We vary heights and materials of the core pieces just to again catch people's eye. You'll notice that in the dining room or informal dining room, it's a lot of like different materials, different heights, to try to again get people's eyes to the table and to like maybe look in a specific direction. So yeah, again, you'll see that in a lot of our decor trays through the bathroom, through the kitchen, through the dining room. Bedrooms are always fun though. So in an occupied home, a lot of the time people are like living in the space. So we try to use as much of their bedding as we can because we don't
Oh
want them like
yeah.
sleeping in a room and then also then we using sleeping on our stuff essentially.
Got
So
it,
we
got
try
it,
to
got
again
it.
we tell them like maybe what pillows to buy, what blankets to use, or
Mm-hmm.
we give them like a bag to just kind of like redo the staging. So a lot of the time we keep it super simple for that reason, so that they're actually able to redo it as opposed to like having it your bed professionally made every day, like it was a hotel. So but a lot of the time we'll use bigger euros after like your normal pillows to try to like accent the maybe the quilt or the blanket at the end of the bed. Again, keep it simple. But the other thing is like when I was going through my certification, they always talked about it's like you're selling a dream when you're selling your home, right? Like, so it's all, even if you're like single, it's always important to have like two nightstands, have symmetry, show off like both sides of the bed. You're like trying to, produce the image of like a perfect couple lives here so that you can essentially sell it to a family and whatnot, or first time home buyers that live together. It's like that's another thing, is like we do that very well with symmetry. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put exactly the same things on each side, but it should be very balanced. There should always be like sets of twos in there. So that's another little thing for bedrooms. And then offices, probably my favorite room. To do. It's fun to think about like offices when you don't have like your monitors and everything blocking up the desk. It's funny, we you do an office and you live in the space, and it's like, well, I've got my monitors, I've got my desktop, it's you got all that blocking. But it's nice to actually decorate an office as if I was just going to be reading in there and stuff like that. So we can always make offices look really nice, just because you can float it in the middle of the room. You don't have to worry about cords or anything. But yeah, and I can kind of scroll through the rest of this pretty fast too. Again, it's going to be a lot of the same tips itself. And again, as you might have noticed, like there's no cost associated for some of these, because a lot of these things can be done yourself with your own decor in your own house. And if you want to pay a professional come in and to use your own stuff, it's a lot cheaper too than as opposed to having it all staged from scratch. I think there's benefits to both, but especially if you're already living in the space, there's might not be another option. So but yeah, I can kind of scroll through, like I'll see primary
Oh, it's
bathroom.
beautiful. No,
Yeah.
I'm looking around. Is that a book stage? I love that.
Yeah, this is like a little
What?
bathtub,
Oh, that's the
so like,
bathtub. I could see.
yeah,
Oh,
like with a little
what are those?
bathtub.
What are those little nooks called?
What do you, or like the
Bathtub tray,
vanity.
bathtub vanity.
Yeah,
Okay, that it goes
yeah,
across the tub.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, now I'm blanking on it. I think you could just call it bathtub tray. I'm trying to remember the actual name for it, but yeah, I'm sure it would pop up if you Googled that. But yeah, those are fun. I mean, I don't necessarily know if people are reading in the tub nowadays,
I
but
know.
if they are, good for them. And I think, but it's more about the idea of like comfort. The tub itself is already so nice, but just throwing something in there, a little bit of greenery, again, it catches your eye just like that kitchen did for you. It's like, oh, if you didn't notice the tub before, now you're definitely noticing it because there's something
Yeah.
on it. But yeah. And
Oh
then
my.
like I always like to highlight like little things like this. This is not typical in a lot of homes, but like the vanity with like the little chair, or like a little spot for a chair. We brought in the chair, the blanket, the flowers, um, and the idea with that was to really just show off that it has like that little vanity there to get ready, which is a nice touch. Usually in homes you might see the double sink quite often, but you don't usually see like an additional vanity on top of that. And I really liked how they like shaped the mirror and kind of highlighted that space, but we just added to it by bringing in some color and
Oh
that
my
chair
goodness.
itself. So
Beautiful. All right. Now to the family
yeah,
room. I love those little
yeah,
baskets and those little, I don't know what you call them, the thing on the right, little trays. To
yeah.
decor is
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
this one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Again, we use trays. I mean, it breaks up the color
Yeah.
too. A lot of like this might be a little trick, I guess, because a lot of the times we don't have maybe exact matches for like our accent tables and coffee tables. You can absolutely buy sets that will look nice together, but it's a good way to like break up the color scheme or and make it so it's like you don't have to have exactly the same woods and whatnot. Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah, and then guest bedrooms again, as you might see, if we have a yellow in a house or green in a house, we try to like maybe continue that color throughout the home. That repetition gets people like, it's kind of like, oh, I really start liking this, and it's like you go by room by room, and it kind of adds into
Yeah.
this whole like this whole feeling you get about the house, and so that's the idea with staging. But again, this is kind of a mix of like we're just giving people advice, kind of showing examples. But this is maybe something that someone could expect from like a consult that they get of like very specific tips about what to do in each room of their house so that they can tackle it all themselves. So that is kind of our staging checklist. And again, all together, the costs stay pretty reasonable if you did want to have a professional come in and still take a look at your work essentially afterwards and maybe touch things up, without paying maybe the full on vacant staging price. But yeah, so
I
that's
love it. Affordable home staging. My goodness, TJ, that's
yeah,
beautiful. I love this presentation we had here today. And
absolutely.
I know we're a little shorter on time due to our technical
Yeah.
issues,
Hmm.
but for our last minute together here, if someone does, want to work with you, right?
Hmm.
How can we reach you? And if you don't mind sharing the website and social media pages, and do you offer an initial consultation?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first off, my phone number is 509-944-1174, or you can reach us on our Instagram or website at Affordable Home Staging Spokane, in the .com for the website. And yes, we do initial walkthroughs for vacant homes for free. We do offer consults that we charge. We do charge for, but they're relatively affordable.
Yeah.
So anytime, if someone wants to reach out about
Mm-hmm.
working with us about, you're thinking about putting your home on the market for rent, for sale, for, a short-term rental, we'd be happy to help. So
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having
yeah,
you here. And look, is
thank
that
you.
stage behind you? Is that plant a staged plant?
Oh,
Is that,
that plant is a stage plant for sure.
and I
Well,
don't know, what do we call that on the wall?
I mean,
Your decor.
yeah, I don't know. We usually have like baskets. I put them in the basket thing, but
Well,
they're not baskets. I have this cool shit picture, which I don't know you can really
I
see on the
can't
side,
see.
but it's like on the side. So
Oh, and look how beautiful that bookshelf is. Nice and neat.
yeah.
Good job, TJ.
So the idea there was really to like bring in the sailing like ropes into the
Oh
so
my goodness. Well, thank you so much. It's beautiful. And sorry to jump the gun.
yeah,
Thank
no
you again for
problem.
being here. And we'll talk again. We back on next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I love seeing that presentation. Would love to see some more of the work you do as well. It's always visual is amazing. Thank you. Bye, TJ.
Absolutely.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.